What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dragonryders Media. See, I messed that all up. Welcome to Dragonryders Media. I'm sorry. Look, this wouldn't be the show unless I have a little bit of a hiccup. But yes, welcome to Dragonryders Media. I am your host, Vincent, man. And today, man, we got another special AMA for you guys. Look, man, if you are in even the know of the realm of music, man, you would know some of these founders and inspirational just artists that just changed the industry for the better for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I got Jimi Hendrix Foundation, baby. Let's go. I got Joe from the Jimi Hendrix. Let's go, baby. Look, I'm so excited about this because, man, I'm gonna tell you what, Jimmy is such an inspiration to so many guitarists out there, so many musicians out there. Art, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's mind blowing how, you know, not just him, but you know how people can change, you know, the way you look at things and the way you present your art and even get your inspiration off of others. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, being that type of individual, man, he's gone too soon. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, man, matter of fact, if you didn't know, yesterday was his day of celebration for passing, you know what I mean? So, you know, everybody's kind of, look, it's all over the internet. Everybody's celebrating it, man, doing posts and everything. That I'm telling you, that's what type of person this guy was, and the mark that he left on a lot of people's lives. So, with that being said, let's welcome to the stage. We got Joe, we got Omar, we got Jason of Crypto. What's up, baby? Let's go, y'all.
Wow, that was great intro. Love the intro.
Thank you. I'm trying to change things up, man. I'm trying to get a little bit more professional and making things look a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's an exciting time, a lot of growth and a lot of change for everybody. You know what I mean? Especially the crypto industry. The crypto industry is experiencing such a drastic change right now, and this is a time period where it's a very, very pivotal moment where a lot of companies, be it the foundations and such like that, are wanting to enter into it because, like I say, everything's becoming more legal. A lot of the laws and stuff are becoming a lot more clearer, and you know, this is something that is that's of course never going away. It's here to stay, and it's just a matter of time before, you know, everybody really starts getting into it. So, you know, for a foundation like yours to get into it early like this, man, you know, it's a big props because, you know, we always talk about mass adoption and bringing Web 2 into Web 3, and this is how it starts. You know, this is a foundation. You know, we're building that first layer to welcome everybody else in, man. So hats off to you.
Great. Yeah, you're setting the foundation for the foundation in our case.
Yes, absolutely. So before we really get into explaining, you know, into the foundation, let's get a little background about yourself. Who you are? Who are you?
Well, once we discover that, we'll all know.
Yes.
I started life at a very early age. You know, the typical. Well, you want to know my claim to fame? Is that what you want to know?
Yeah, just, you know, your beginnings and, you know, how you kind of got into the music industry.
Yeah. Well, I started in music way back before you guys were even a thought. I was 6 and a half in 1960. My mom brought home a Venture of 45. And ever since then, I started playing guitar. I mean, I taught myself. I used to play like 3-4 hours a night, teaching myself how to play guitar.
Okay.
And Ventures came out with their album in December of 1960. I was already playing school dances, and I just loved guitar. Anything had guitar. Duane Eddy, Johnny Cash, El Caiola. I mean, you name it, all these people that were leaders in the industry, you know. And Rochester, where I was growing up, was a big jazz town. And we had Rochester School of Music there, and, you know, Chuck Man Jones from there, Gap Man Jones. And so Steve Gadd's from there, by the way, one of the greatest drummers. Mitch Miller, one of the most prolific and well-known and very influential band leaders and producers back in the 50s and 60s. Cab Galloway was from there, even Tonto from the Lone Ranger was from Rochester, New York. So it's kind of interesting.
Hey, I'm telling you what, hey, there's probably a bunch of people watching that don't even know 9/10, one of those names that you just made. But it's exciting, man, because as a kid, I grew up, listening to these names, hearing these names obviously, and not really recognizing who they are in the music and stuff like that until I got a little bit upper in age and really got to understand and stuff because my parents listened to a lot of that, to a lot of this older music. And I'm just like, I was a kid, of course, and I was like, I want to listen to that. I want to listen to Nirvana, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, you know what I mean? And then, but as I matured, it's like I appreciate that music,
Well, the thing about it is a lot of bands today in the past 20, 30 years are basically, rehashes of what the 60s brought and what the 50s brought. It's just the way it is. Everybody knows about all the early guitar players, anyone who's a guitar player now, and everyone learned from all the guys of the 60s. I was just reading about Steve Cropper. He's in a vintage guitar magazine on the cover right now. Well, Steve Cropper was part of the Stax, R&B back then in the day, and he was in Booker T and the MGs. And so what guitar player doesn't know Green Onions, even today? I was watching
what is that?
Guns N' Roses video just the other day, and I saw Slash. They were playing Glenn Campbell's song, Wichita Lineman, which came out, in 1968. So it's kind of interesting. There's a resurgence of back taxing music. People want to know where that thread of music is really coming from, And the interesting thing was, I was there as a kid going forward, not back taxing, looking backwards. So I've seen and heard just about every guitar lick known to mankind or humankind, whichever is correct, right? And the thing about it, though, is music isn't gone. Music is really incredible with all the independence. But the interesting thing about music is it's actually very important to our life, not only growing up and not only learning how to play, but now we're finding out with all the problems that we have in the world that music actually helps Parkinson's disease, autism. It helps in music therapy. Well, whatever your genre is, there's a big tie in there as far as, helping with therapy. As far as getting back to the roots of music, well, that's a whole other thing. You'll have a lot of fun investigating that because you'll find that a lot of stuff that we kind of pass off and say, well, that's passe, or that's too simple, or that doesn't make sense anymore. You'll find out that that's what everyone's incorporating in their music, even today, whether it's electronic, hip hop, I don't care what it is. People are sampling old songs. So, so it's kind of great to actually been brought up in that time frame to know the roots of music to some degree. Rock and roll, I should say, rock and roll, R&B, and the blues. They're all interrelated, and it's kind of interesting. Today's music, like country right now, well, country today is a far cry from traditional country.
It's more like pop.
We move on.
It's like pop music almost. You know what I mean? It's like they got to have something to play in the club type of stuff.
Right.
But
well, what's interesting is.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We have a delay on the video here, so I'm going to keep quiet until the video comes to my brain cells there.
Oh, all right. No, I just kind of
But
wanted to
you,
get into like how did you get your start in the ventures? You know, like how did that come about? Was it just like you were seeking something out, or were you just playing somewhere and they were like, hey, yeah, you know what, you're pretty good. Why don't you come play with us?
well, no, how that came about is I was brought up in Rochester, New York, and in 1979 I moved to San Diego, and the Ventures came back on the scene. They were kind of really big in Japan because in the late 60s it kind of fell out of grace in the United States, or the early 70s. And so I finally met them in 1980 here in San Diego. I got to meet my guitar heroes 20 years later, right? And we hit it off. They invited me to some recording sessions. And I used to go to Costa Mesa, watch them record. And then Don Wilson, who is the founding member, is a rhythm player. And I might add, he's probably one of the most incredible, influential rhythm players of rock and roll ever. He's an incredible artist in himself. And Bob Bogle, who was the original lead guitarist, they had a whole new sound, which was interesting. Even though they were playing a Jazzmaster Strat and just a little Gibson 30 amplifier or a Twin or a vintage Fender Bassman, they didn't sound like anyone else who played through the very same equipment. They had that magic tone. See, and that's the difference between, like Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Elvin Lee, and all those guys. They had a certain touch that brought them to a different level. It's why, Chuck Berry, which kind of helped start rock and roll guitar. Well, he had a certain touch, no matter what kind of genre of music you are. You can't duplicate his sound because it's part of his personality. And that's what music is all about and guitars are all about. They are just like a tennis racket. They're actually part of your being and your soul as far as that goes, because it's an actual mind connect. And so when I first met the Ventures, um, I realized that of all the pictures that I saw of them holding a guitar on records and their position of the volume knob and the tone and all that. We used to, just like a Spinal Tap, we all kind of look at all that stuff. Oh, what's that chord they're playing, or this and that, because we feel like a close connection to the artist. Then it's almost like watching them at work, even though it was only a photo shoot.
Yeah.
But when I saw them walking throughout through the venue at the time, was the Bacchanal back in 1980 in San Diego. They didn't have anything plugged in. They were just strumming the guitar and doing a little finger picking. And when Noki Edwards was walking around, it just hit me. It's not the amplifier. It's not the guitar. It's the artist. It's the personality. It's their voice. The instrument is just part of their voice. And that changed my life forever. And they noticed that I helped them out plugging amps. Don Wilson, all the gigs that he played, touring all over the world, they outsold the Beatles at the height of Beatlemania in Japan. And yet he asked me, like a little boy, it was kind of interesting. He walks up with his guitar cord like this, walking up to me, hey, Joe, can you help me plug this in? That was my first meeting with my guitar hero. It's kind of
Wow.
interesting. So they kept inviting me to, recording sessions, and eventually up at Don's house, up in Sherman Oaks. And then their road manager quit or couldn't make it to a San Diego gig back in 1986. And so they asked me if I'd like to come help set up and help them with the gig. It was at the Catamaran. And I said, sure, of course. Why would I not? Anyway, and that started my 10-year stay with the Ventures. I did everything. I collected money. I did the flyers. I was security. I was the driver. I mean, I got tons of stories of driving through through the mountains of you know, up there, Donner's Pass. There's another, you know, sad story, you know, of how the people had to survive. But we were up there, and I was driving, and it was just a van. We're just going to play a gig in Vegas, and we just had like a 12 passenger club van with a little 12-foot, you know, trailer behind the van. So we had Don Wilson, Bob Bogle, Jerry McGee, Mel Taylor, the drummer, and their wives. So we're all jammed in this little vehicle, and I'm driving, and we're going around the mountains there where, you know, if you look over, one mistake, you could be, you know, 2,000-foot fall into the, you know, gully down below, right?
Yeah.
And we're driving, all of a sudden, we notice that on this rental van, the clock isn't set correctly. So they're asking me while I'm driving, going around these winding roads and everything, to set the clock. And I'm going, I'm trying. I don't know how to set the clock. I don't want to take my eyes off the road because I'm with driving for the very first time. I want to be extra cautious, you know.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Don Wilson, who always sits in the passenger seat, starts reaching over and he starts fiddling with the radio and he couldn't get it. And then Mel Taylor, the drummer, was sitting in the middle. He comes up and kneels down between the seats, and all of a sudden he's starting to fiddle with the radio. And now we got two hands in there trying to figure out how to set the clock on this, you know, radio. All of a sudden, Bob Bogle comes up, steps over Mel Taylor, and we're talking about a little Ford club van. We're not talking about this big bus. He steps over Mel, who's kneeling down in the middle, and he sits in the driver's seat with me. And he says, "Move over, Joe." He pushes me over a little, so I'm driving sideways now. And he's sitting there, and now we got three hands, three grown men trying to set the radio clock, you know. And I was going, well, here we are, adventure with the ventures. So anyway, I got tons of stuff like that.
Wow, man.
Kind of incredible.
I mean, man, that was a different time too, you know, because that was kind of without, you know, before the boom of, you know, what we have nowadays, where everybody's looking at their phones and stuff. You know, you really had to interact with other people. You were more sociable, right, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And people were, you know, you kind of had to be closer to everybody. You know, cars are a lot smaller, and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, a lot of the things that we don't think about nowadays. You know, you guys had to go through that, and also navigating stuff. You know, you didn't have Google Maps.
You had the Thomas map book out. You had the Thomas map book out with a marker or a pencil or a pen charting your route, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting. Just for clarity, though, the Ventures were very, very influential. By the time they put out their first album in 1960, December, and we equate everything with the Beatles. You know, when the Beatles showed up on the scene in February on the Ed Sullivan Show, that was it. They took over the music industry at that point. They conquered America, right? So from December 1960 to January 1964, the Ventures had already recorded and released 14 albums. They were incredibly prolific. They influenced everybody. The Beatles, the Beach Boys. I mean, they were the Beatles of guitar. There was no one else that could beat the Ventures at that time. And we're talking rock and roll, instrumental rock and roll. And they helped create their own monster, which became known as surf music. Once that happened, everybody, see, people compartmentalize everything, right? And so when you compartmentalize things, you don't have the interaction between the points. It's like it's only this, it's only that. Rockabilly, for instance. Well, that was the roots of rock and roll, but we call it rockabilly. We don't call it rock and roll. but there isn't a difference. It is rock and roll. You know, same thing with a lot of other genres. You know, we lose that connection. And so when we lose that connection, we just compartmentalize things. So we say, oh, just surf guitar. So anybody that does an instrumental, oh, it's surf guitar. And yet Jeff Beck only did instrumentals, but you didn't say he was surf guitar. You see what I mean? So there's a pick and choose that people have. But they were very prolific in recording. They've written over 1,000 songs themselves. And so I can go on and on. We can just do a program just on the Ventures alone, but I know we want to go on to other things as well. But, you know, it was a pleasure and an honor meeting those guys.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you about one thing in my life. It's actually three things. You know, they say lightning strikes once in a person's life. Well, actually, lightning struck three times in my life. I got to work with the #1 instrumental rock and roll group in the world, the Ventures. I also made guitar polish. I had my own blend. We could talk about that a little later if you like. But I had my own guitar polish, and eventually Fender approached me, and I was making, my son and I were making Fender custom shop guitar polish. That's the 4-step system that, you know, we came up with, and Fender. So I was making guitar polish for the #1 rock and roll guitar in the world. And then in 2014, when I started working with the Jimi Hendrix Foundation, my friend Jimmy Williams, they voted me in. So by, you know, late 2014, early 2015, I became president and CEO of the #1 guitar, rock and roll guitarist of all time. So, you know, I had lightning did strike three times in my life. And what's interesting about it is I love it. We're passionate about what we want to do. And that's why when we finally met up with Jason, Rob, Peter, and Omar, it's like absolutely incredible. It changed our world again. As I spoke with you earlier about, Vincent, it was the race car, for instance.
Yeah.
When I took over, we only had $25 in the bank account. The foundation was broken. You could have a TV made for TV movie. We could do it now as well with what we've gone through. But back then, Jimmy Williams, who was Jimi Hendrix's boyhood friend, he took over the foundation back in 2004 and 5. And what was interesting is we've had people that would come in and rob from the bank account to the tune of $100,000 to $200,000. They've had people trying to shut down the foundation, take it over.
Yeah.
Jimmy Williams had to pay $30,000. Oh, there you go with the car and the pick. That was a great time right there. J.R. Todd. So anyway, so I had to break down the barriers and I took over. And Jimmy knew this. That's why he wanted me in. So we go, what do we do for exposure? So the interesting thing was I wanted to get our name on a race car. So we started investigating race cars, race trucks. We had a couple of people who knew drivers and teams. And so they, you know, they tried, but it wasn't really a fit. And then our friend, Dan Pekarsky, he's probably listening too right now. Anyway, he's our B2B guy, you know. And so he goes, well, you know, I've been in the race business for years. And he worked with, I was going to say Tom Petty. He worked with Richard Petty.
Oh, wow.
You know, in the office right next to marketing. So he knows everybody in that whole field, you know, NHRA and everyone. So we approached a few different people, and finally he connected with Coletta Motorsports and said, you know what? We'd love to. They gave us a full wrap, as you can see on those pictures, on the 25-foot J.R. Todd top fuel dragster, right? And that wrap, you know, you don't buy that for $5.
Yeah.
That's over $100,000. Yeah. And we had 3 championship races. So we had about $300,000 to $400,000 that they donated, not in cash, I got to make that clear. We did not receive cash from Coletta, but we received the wrap and the value of the wrap. And up on top is a big picture of Jimmy from the photograph of our friend Ken Davidoff, and then our Music for Life program logo. And if you zoom in one day on the little notes there on the Music for Life logo, so that's the intro to A Wind Cries Mary. So anyway, and behind in the whirlwind there of purple and all that, there's musical notes behind our logo and all over the car. So no, we had one editor said it's the most beautiful race car he's ever seen on a track. You know, we've had nothing but compliments.
Yeah.
And we thought we were going places, but then the wind was taken out of our sails because at that point someone got us involved in a lawsuit with the estate. And not to get into negative of anything, they tried to recreate some um, assets because when I took over, that logo that you see looked like a smudge. We couldn't blow it up. We couldn't do anything with it. You put on a letterhead, you wouldn't know that there was any definition to it. So I hired this artist, commissioned him to recreate the logo, which he did. And I won't mention his name, but he's a very famous guy. And he created these assets for us and these posters, which is great. But the problem was you needed a magnifying glass to read the words Jimi Hendrix Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And he refused to make our logo larger on the poster than the assets. He said, no, I don't want to ruin the artwork. He said, you're going to get us sued. We're not Jimi Hendrix. We're the Jimi Hendrix Foundation. And sure enough, he got sued. We were mentioned as co-contributors. So we had to sue him to get rid of him in the lawsuit. And then we went head to head with the estate. So without getting into any details or anything, we were a 4.5 year lawsuit with the estate. And at the end of it all, they finally dropped the case against us. We prevailed. So we continued to have the name, likeness, and signature of Jimi Hendrix for charitable endeavors, which was started by Jimmy's father and commissioned 1988. And we were incorporated in 2003. So that was, the move of trying to get exposure. So we're trying to do that again. So this, hey, excuse me, this Hey Joe token definitely does that. To me, it's the same as having this car. It's the same exposure, except now it's in a different world, a world that, I know is very adventurous because I can see the potential of where it can go and what it can do. I don't know any of the details of it, but that's where you guys come in, right? You guys help us with the details.
Absolutely. But I kind of wanted to get into so what is like the mission behind the foundation?
Well, the mission behind the foundation, so that we're clear, number one, it was never our intention to ever compete with the estate. They own the legacy and the right to, promote the music and Jimmy's licensing and all that fun stuff. That is their job and their mission. Our thing was, if we weren't split up through the years, through lawsuits and everything, through other means, we would have been together as part of the estate, L. Hendrix. That's how it started. But here's the thing. Our mission has always been music related. We always tell people we're not selling Jimi Hendrix. It's not our job. We don't want to sell Jimi Hendrix. We want to sell what we need to do. The star power of Jimi Hendrix, his celebrityship, we have to use that because that's what's going to, bring in the people for the cause. We're cause related, which is regarding autism, regarding music therapy for autism, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, getting instruments to kids that can't otherwise afford it, helping local communities. We now have good food sourcing, and our other mission is, to help with distressed or displaced people. We were working on a food deal with one of our brokers, distributors, however you want to classify them. We were even working with the United Arab Emirates. We were going to supply them with food for displaced refugees. Anyway, so our mission is, with the global name, we need to do global things as well as the community. We have the means to be part of the first responders. So if we're able to have somebody out there wants to give us a food truck, that would be fantastic. We can respond and help first responders. We can go to the homeless centers and distribute food. And, Jimi Hendrix on the side of a nice food truck. Those are part of
Yeah.
our goals and things we'd like to see and do.
Well, I'll
You
tell
know,
you, as a veteran,
our
I've also seen that that music has also been, utilized as a type of therapy to help for PTSD and stuff like that. Like here in Kentucky, we have the Wounded Warriors and stuff like that. We have I think about three or four different groups, the bigger groups that utilize music for some of that PTSD, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, and just getting people involved to to kind of through the healing process. You know what I'm saying? So yes, definitely music is a big key fact. It's been one big key factor of some of these different type of therapies.
Yeah, that is very true, and that's why we're firm believers in just that. And so we'd like to develop our lessons and our send people out. As a matter of fact, I just got off the phone today earlier, excuse me, with Madison from the Pennsylvania Music Therapy Task Force. They have about 10 universities that support their cause to certify therapists,
Oh
not just to
wow.
send someone out with a guitar. I mean, that just isn't it. It's no, these people are almost like a medical therapist. They actually go out with a caregiver, know what they're doing, know the guidelines, and the idea is there's protection now for the recipients, because you're not just going to have someone walk in your home or wherever you are, rehab place, and be abused or what have you, mentally, physically, or not give you what you're supposed to be getting. These people will be certified. So they have a wonderful plan that they want to get it before the Senate and houses of their representatives as well. And they asked us to help join and spearhead this as well in the state of Pennsylvania. And also, we were asked by the national organization to do the same thing. And we're going to have a phone call next month for that. So we're going to tie this all in. And one of our collectives that we want to work with and put together through, Elvin Taylor is now a board member. And Elvin Taylor is, I know I'm dropping names, but we have a lot of friends here that they are passionate to help the foundation. And he's played with everyone. He started at age 14, 15 with Little Richard. He was in Little Richard's band when Jimi Hendrix was
What?
in there. That's Jimmy James. This is
Wow.
Elvin Taylor. And he was there with Sly and Stone. He was there drumming for Stevie Wonder with yeah, the list goes on. I mean, he was there. Dave Mason. He's recorded with so many different people. Bob Welsh. You know, what's that song? These Eyes, right? Bob Welsh. That's Elvin on drums. And he was with Eric Burdon in War. He was with Cloud Nine with George Harrison and other songs. Billy Preston. I mean, the name goes on and on and on, and the list goes on and on. And he's a great guy,
Wow.
but he's very passionate. loves what we're doing. And so he's part of a task force that had something to do with the reparations for in Palm Springs when a lot of families, Black and Hispanics, were displaced in the 60s, and they built, a community around there, but they displaced a community to build another community. And so he and others are part of that task force for reparations because he and his family were actually in one of the houses that they were thrown out of. So anyway,
Wow.
so what we want to do is have him head up our own task force and do a collective with other musicians who can help sign the bill, get other drummers, musicians that can help us with music therapy initiatives. And that's what we're putting in place now. We're drafting it up ourselves so that we can work with the National Committee and with Pennsylvania. And, with a name like Jimi Hendrix, helping kids, helping veterans, helping homeless. We can't do everything, but it has to be specific to the
Yeah.
cause. But everything is connected, though, in one way or the other, to music.
Yeah,
And we know
absolutely.
that. So this is definitely part of what we're trying to put together in our initiative and our directive.
Yeah. All
And
right. So
there. What
kind of
other
before we get
you
into the
have?
token, I'm one, would there be, would there ever be any kind of maybe open discussion for, to work with, the estate to, that you guys could come together for this bigger mission and, make big things happen.
Well, I would hope so because that was my goal way in the beginning when I took over. Because me and Jimmy Williams spoke about just that very thing. It's like maybe someday we can work with the estate hand in hand, but in the meantime, things didn't quite go that way because
Yeah.
we never wanted to compete with the estate, never ever. So, but people don't really know that. They think, oh, you're just tagging on. Uh, you know, how come you're doing this with Jimi Hendrix? And you know, like, well, it's because Jimi Hendrix couldn't. I'm sorry, Jimmy Williams could not hand it off to anyone else he could trust. He had this clean house. Jimmy Williams, as I mentioned, was Jimi Hendrix's boyhood friend, and he was suffering from Agent Orange. And so he couldn't take it anymore. He said, Joe, I'm done. I just can't find anyone else to take this over that I could trust. And he
Yeah.
knew my background with the guitar polish, knew me through a mutual friend. I've known him for years, for about 10 years actually, before I took over. So he finally said, you know, take it over. Let's do what we really need to do. And maybe someday you can work with the estate or whatever. And I said, fine. And that's still part of our goal. And I don't know if anyone would be listening who's part of the estate here. Is this,
I hope so.
someday would be a great thing to do.
Hey, because I tell you what, hey,
It's an
I
ultimate.
shared this out. I shared this out to a lot of different platforms that the estate is either following or they're following the estate. You know what I mean? So hopefully, hey, you never know. This may lead to a discussion. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, that would be part of the bigger mission. It's not about this company, that company, and maybe even competition. What it is at the end of the day is it should be just down to the bare bones about the mission. Helping. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that should be, hey, you got a common goal.
Well,
Yeah. If y'all listening, hey, look.
right? No, I agree. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. Yeah.
So with the getting introduced to crypto. So what before we kind of get into the token itself, what is your whole did you believe in cryptocurrency before, or was it kind of up in the air and then it just kind of like what was your feelings on cryptocurrency before this conversation took place?
Well, years ago when I first heard about it, and Bitchain and Bitcoin and blockchain and all. I'm going, what in the world is this all about? It's so far beyond my comprehension, because it took me a long time to understand what cloud was. Have your pictures on a cloud, I didn't want pictures on a cloud. I don't want a computer without hard drives. I don't want to have my stuff out there somewhere in the ether where I can't see it or handle it or hold it or touch it, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't even like texting, but everybody texts, so I learn how to text. Okay. But then auto text took over, and auto text makes people frustrated because the more advanced auto text gets, the worse it is. It puts in words you don't want. It puts in things, you change it, and all of a sudden it
Yes.
still sneaks in that other word you don't want. And
It's
people go,
yes.
hey, you ain't got good English. And then your grammar's terrible. You know, it's like,
Hey, I tell you
no,
what, it's
no,
worse
trust me,
for
it's
like
not
us
me.
Southern speakers, because we got that
Yeah.
Southern, like our words kind of just draw out a little bit more. So you would be very, very shocked at some of the words that Google inserts in these conversations that you're like, maybe, hey, I would like to be navigated to somewhere, and it'll pull up something totally just off the wall. It's like, wait, I didn't say that. Come on, Google, get it right.
I didn't, yeah, right. So getting to your question and point, when I heard about crypto, I never gave it any thought as to utilizing it. I realized that it wasn't going away. I realized it was going to be the new thing. My question at the time was, is this going to replace money? But then I started thinking about it. Through the years, I realized, no, it's not going to replace. It's going to be, you know, a side, well, it's going to be a parallel path, because I don't know that much about it. Just like stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds don't take place or replace money, but they give it a run for the money, right? Because
Well, yeah,
it's a
I
whole
mean,
other
bonds
world in
back up.
itself. So the
It
whole,
it backs up the fiat. So it's yeah.
right? Yeah, so I look at it that way, and then through the years, like I wanted to put together like a food card, a money card, I should say, where maybe there's $250 on it or something, give it to a veteran or someone we can help. We were looking into, getting cards printed and how to fund it and get into the banking. You got to be attached to a banking system and the whole thing. And it's like, well, it's getting pretty intense. But we never pursued that to that degree. Well, mainly because we were still involved in that little thorn in the side, the lawsuit. Can't really do much when you got a federal lawsuit hanging over you,
Yep.
because you don't know how it's going to go. And anyway, so 2 years ago, I'm trying to remember now, about 2 years ago, we were victims of a cyber attack. Our website was taken down. Well, once again, without getting into the negatives of it, we had I had to get the FBI involved and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, because a couple of people were threatening the well-being, the safety, physical threats against our board members, our vendors. They would call up everybody that we had on the website and badmouth me, the foundation, the whole thing. They did death threats to me and bodily injury threats to me and my executive assistant. So we got a couple of agencies involved, and they kind of took care of things to some degree in the background. And
Yeah.
so we decided to stay low for about a year to let everything pass through, get all that negative pass through, because our webmaster, he was so afraid, so they threatened him, that he destroyed all our website elements. So even though I had everything, I didn't have everything like we had in one place. I had to go get things here and
Wow.
there, and get my hard drives out and try to recreate it. And then 3 months ago, we were invited to participate in an event. And so I'm going, well, we're not ready yet, but you know what? Let's go for it. So we dusted off the old playbook. A friend of ours started to rebuild our website there, Gary Hall. He had someone and his people, and they put up the website for us, and we were part of this gala event to raise money over in Rancho Mirage or Desert Cities area. And it was a nice fundraiser, and we were the recipients of it. And so it helped us meet other people again, though. It helped us reconnect with some of our friends who can help us move forward. And that's what we're doing. And so all of a sudden, these doors started opening. And here we are. Our friend Rob Lapine calls me up one day, says, "Hey, Joe, what's going on with the foundation? I heard anything from you in a couple of months." And I told him what's going on. He says, "Oh, good, because Peter has something that's he thinks is going to benefit the foundation." And we're going, "Okay, I'm all for it. Let's hear what it's all about." He goes, "It's about crypto." And I go, "Crypto?" He goes, "Yeah, about a token, about coins and whatever." And I said, "Well, let's talk." And then that was on a Friday. And I think the very next day, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, you and Omar, the four of us were on a conference call, and you were laying out what it was going to take and what it's going to involve. And I'm going, I'm loving this because this world is here. It's not going away. And we have an opportunity to step into it. And I'm going, we have to. We have no choice but to do it. But it's going to give us the exposure. It's going to give us everything we need to do. And if you want to elaborate on that, Jason, feel free at this point if you care to.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason, man. So, wow, man, dude, this is an amazing story. You know what I mean? Because like I was mentioned earlier, we us in crypto, we are trying to adopt what we call the normies all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, and then especially getting and getting more businesses involved and letting them understand that, hey, you know it's not all, it's not yet. Even in the regular financial world, you got banks out here doing nefarious things, you know what I mean, that's not spoken about on a regular basis. But I mean, it happens in the crypto world, but the tides are changing in cryptocurrency. Everything is becoming more legitimized. Beginning of this year, we kind of had, they laid out some laws and some regulations and stuff that still isn't very clear, but it's becoming more and more clear and a clear path to mass adoption. You know what I mean? So we are doing our part to inform companies like, hey, there are legal paths to do this correctly. There are ways to do this properly. You know what I mean? And this is part of that. So Jason, how the conversation go? Did you, what was it a what I mean, was it a very exciting moment? I don't know, 'cause I'm excited right now. Like my heart just raced just now.
It was very, very exciting. And the way the conversation went on my end was, Rob had called me up through the introduction through Pete. And then Rob, I was explaining to him the experiential token, which I'll explain to you just, shortly. And Rob was like, why wouldn't everybody do this? And I said, well, because they don't know about it yet. We've been, I don't want to say we invented it. There's a lot of folks that probably have these same conversations, but we've been really really kind of laying the road work over the past year on this. And so he said, well, I know Joe is the CEO of the Hendrix Foundation. He might be interested, and do you mind having a call with him? And I said, yeah, sure, that sounds good. 20 minutes later, Rob calls me back and says, I got Joe on the line. Can you talk about it? And so that was how the conversation started. And for the last, prior to that, for the last 2 weeks, but through many introductions, we had been talking and have been talking to a lot of brands, a lot of high net worth individuals, and a lot of famous folks on how to come into the Web3 space, do it properly and safely. And so this is not something that we just kind of thought up overnight. Omar and I, we've been working through the details for the past, over a year now on this. And, many of these conversations are, how do we bring in brands successfully into the Web3 space? And in my background, I've got a tech startup background. I've been in technology for a while. I've been in many startups. I also have some exposure to, modern go-to-market and demand generation strategies. And part of my background has been working in the experiential space. So if you ever heard of experiential marketing, it's why we call this the experiential token. And essentially, experiential marketing is just wrapping your brand through experiences. And, good examples of experiential marketing, Disney is a fantastic example of experiential marketing, creating experiences for your fans, et cetera, et cetera. And so the concept is you move it into the tokenization of your brand. And so what you're doing is you're not really focusing on the price of the token, et cetera. What you're focusing on is tokenizing your brand and then putting as much value into being part of that ecosystem that people want to come in and buy the Hey Joe token and be part of the brand. And so, a couple things that I'll add to this is that, because I know Joe's he's really humble. But Joe knows and has an unbelievable ecosystem and network of folks that wants to be very, very supportive of Hey Joe and of the foundation. And, in crypto, look, the reality of it is this: if you're a foundation and you're going out there asking for, money from people, a lot of people are like, hey, what's in it for me kind of scenario. And so this provides them a different mechanism to be able to donate to the foundation. But at the same time, they actually get something out of this. So the way that the token is structured is that there is a 2% tax that goes into the foundation directly. And that funding allows the foundation to do all of the really cool initiatives that Joe always talks about. And at the same time, it gives a mechanism to not necessarily constantly be asking, will you donate to the foundation? Will you donate to the foundation? Now there's another mechanism that allows you to buy the Hey Joe token. And essentially, you're donating to the foundation based on buying the Hey Joe token. And at the same time, Joe has 1,000 ideas that he wants to implement and do that is going to, incentivize people to be part of the ecosystem.
Yes.
And so it's the very beginning of this. And so the reason that we set this up this way, and Vince, because you've seen it for over the years, there are folks that come into the space and they may be really, really popular celebrities, and they launch a token, and then they sell all their tokens, and they're sitting there with nothing, and they have no incentive to build their project, because how tough it is to build in Web3. It's tough. Absolutely. And so if you don't have an incentive, why would you continue on? And so Joe has an incentive to continue to build in perpetuity, because there's a tax on the trading volume that goes directly to the foundation. So if and I can, if this thing trades at, $100,000 market cap, or $1 million market cap, or $1 billion market cap, he's always incentivized to put everything into building this Web3 ecosystem. And so it's the perfect incentive. And so it's kind of like a flywheel that feeds it's a win-win for everybody. It's
absolutely. And I just kind of want to throw in there that, because, a lot of people are, they don't necessarily want to donate to the different charities and stuff because, you know, they're like, oh, well, I don't know where the money's going. Oh, well, this and that. Well, you know, and then like, you know, when this first started, you know, you guys had, you know, you had your, you know, your issues that you got straightened out. You know what I mean? So, you know, through blockchain technology, we have that transparency. You know, anybody, we have a public ledger. That's the blockchain literally is a public ledger that anyone, I don't care who you are, you could go and look up the Hey Joe token and you can see every single transaction that has happened with this token. You know what I'm saying? So that level of transparency it should be a booster for anybody to be like, hey, you know what? Let me look into this because, you know, we want to let folks know that, hey, if you have any questions about where our money is going, you can see exactly where it's going by going to base scan.
Yep, exactly. And the cool thing about this is the experiential token. The whole concept is to wrap your brand around the token and provide, you know, the experiences to your fans and your holders and your followers and your supporters. And so what does that mean? It means a million things. You can create merchandise and sell merchandise and accept the token. You know, Joe's talked about, you know, having celebrity golf tournaments where he knows, I mean, if Joe wants to drop some names of some of the most well-recognized legends, people who are legends on this planet, Joe knows those folks. And, you know, think about if you're a Hey Joe holder, you know, you're going to have the opportunity to participate, you know, and there's just, you can do anything that you want to when you start talking about providing experiences for holders.
Yeah.
And it's above and beyond just, you know, just so you've got your two different types of tokens. You've got your utility token, which a lot of it is high tech tokens, and some of that's kind of boring. And, you know, there's one use case for it.
Yes.
They're great, and you definitely want to, but a lot of people don't get excited about it. Then you have the meme tokens, and the meme tokens are, you know, very few of them are successful, but there's nothing behind it. There's nothing underlaying those meme tokens. And so, you know, the experience.
And you got your community. You got community tokens, which if you ain't got no community, it's dead.
So you have these experiential tokens that you can literally do anything that you want to with and provide utility with, you know, with utility. But it's also like really super cool utility. You know, Joe's going to be dropping some really, really amazing things, and you know, it's going to be. Let's just say this: if Joe drops a golf tournament with the people that he knows who will be at the golf tournament, think just legends, legendary human beings who definitely want to be there. And so those are things that you can do, you know, as the CEO of the Jimi Hendrix Foundation. So that's a little bit about it. And I don't want to go through too much more detail. I'll let Joe talk because I want the focus to be on the foundation and, you know, what he's looking to do with this.
Well, that is the foundation of what you're speaking to, you know, because that's the reason we're in it. For instance, the experiential, you know, phrase just itself. Well, that basically is a phrase that's based on what Jimmy was saying right from the beginning of his career. Are you experienced? He took a common phrase and a common thing that everyone would say on the tip of their tongue. Hey, are you experienced? Do you have experience to do that job? Do you have experience to, you know, so he turned it into a music mantra, whatever you want to, however you want to pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
And now everyone has said it. You, as you say it, not that he invented the word itself, but as you say it, you think about Jimi Hendrix. So when you told me that it's an experiential, I didn't know that phrase existed. And I'm going, no, that has to be our tagline as well. That's going to be part of our slogan as well. Because we don't want to say, are you experienced? We're not trying to cash in on old slogans, but we can do double entendres. We can do whatever to point people to our, well, our founder, basically. Jimi Hendrix always wanted to give back to the community. We know
Yeah.
several people that knew him personally and always told us he wanted to give back to the community. Let's face it, when he was on stage, he was preaching to his church because Jimmy thought he was a shaman priest. And his mission from God, that's what he said, I have a mission
Yeah.
from God to serve these people and give them music, love, and peace. So, that was his motivation. And of course, he was very flamboyant. It was kind of interesting. And so that's what we want to do. We want to be flamboyant in one respect, but not disrespectfully. We want to be able to respect the legacy of Jimmy. We're not here to get into conspiracy theories, whether or not he died of natural causes or was murdered or this or that, or
Yeah.
Janis Joplin. You know what I mean? We're not here for that. We're not here to be Jimi Hendrix historians. We're here to move forward in the causes that are affecting people today. 20 years ago, nobody really had a grip on the word autism. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it, if a child was autistic, they threw him in a mental institution. I mean, that's true. We could trace that back all the way back. Someone had PTSD, kick him over to the curb. Oh, that guy's crazy, or he's
Yeah.
schizo. No one really had a grip or a handle. Everybody turned a blind eye, as they say. But now it's so prevalent, you have to pay attention to all these causes. You have to do something. Okay, well, we're a charity. We want to do something, you know, but we need the proverbial operational cash. And what people seem to forget is we're a tin cup operation. Charities are tin cup operation. We're always looking for money. We're always looking for donations. We're always looking for philanthropic people. We're looking for everything, the whole gambit, right? The sad part is because of the name Jimi Hendrix, a lot of people have approached us even before I took over, wanting to take advantage of the foundation and treat it like the estate. They wanted to circumvent the estate, thinking that they can market Jimi Hendrix and put Jimi Hendrix on their products and then throw a few dollars, a few crumbs to the foundation. I go, no, it's not how it works. We can market Jimi Hendrix Foundation. That's synchronized rights, just like a synchronized recording, you know, with music and with pictures and video. You can't separate it because that's something else,
Yeah.
So we have mechanical, right? And so our mission is to uphold what we want to do, our initiatives. Our mission is to fund that somehow with our own money at times, even though we may not have philanthropic people involved. Until we really get those people involved, we have to do whatever we can to start helping, and being at the ground level of this is like absolutely phenomenal because it is a new adventure. It's like a renaissance. It truly is. It's a renaissance, just like the 60s was a
Yeah.
renaissance. You know, your transition from the 50s to the mid 60s, psychedelic rock and roll. Then it went to Power of Love, and then it went to um, auditorium rock. Then it went to, punk rock and everything else, and, the 80s. And so everything is a renaissance in one sense. But this is something that is global, that is embraced by everyone. Like the other day, or just today, what am I saying? The other day, we had to finish filling out our papers for Coinbase, right? For the charity account. And we have to pay a fee. And the
Yeah.
fee, they want it in USDC. And I'm going, see that? Already our government is trading in crypto. So it's not going away. Banks are trading in crypto. It's not going away.
Yeah.
So I
Digital
love the
currencies make.
position we're in right now because, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because digital currency, especially with digital currency, if you had,
Some,
if anyone out
so,
there has paid attention to any like concert, especially nowadays, any concert, games, football games, basketball games, I mean, large event music festivals, if you pay attention, if you've really been watching, most of them don't transact with cash anymore. They want card. You got to have a bank card, debit card, or some form. You got to have some form of digital payment to to participate in these games. Whether it be you bought it off your ticket off a website, or while you're there, if you want a hot dog, you got to swipe your card. You know what I'm saying? So the days of everyone just keeping cash and stuff, you know what I mean, is almost it's in a sense it's going away, and we're all this is the very beginnings of the digital age where we are completely doing everything via
Yep.
the internet, the interwebs, whatever you want to call it, but this is a complete financial revolution.
Yeah. Hey, and also I want
it
to add one
actually,
thing,
we went to,
Joe. Let me add
go
one
ahead.
thing as well too that I wanted to expand on. The very, very interesting thing about this, and I'm going to come at it from a crypto side, is that less than 5% of the world's population utilizes crypto, and everybody talks about onboarding, quote unquote, normies and onboarding folks. Well, this is going to be the new meta. How you onboard is through a brand, and and Joe will be the first one to tell you, and me too.
Yep.
We since we've been rolling out this experiential tokens with brand after brand, we have been fielding so many calls with folks that are, and I'll just use Hey Joe as an example, and Joe can back me up on this. There are so many people that have never, in his ecosystem, that have never bought Bitcoin or Ethereum and don't have a Coinbase account, but they want to know, how do I buy the Hey Joe token? Because I want to support this brand and this initiative. And we've seen it across every brand that we've talked to and we launched. So much so that I had to create videos to say and show how you buy the Hey Joe token, because these are going to folks that have never bought crypto in their life, but they want to support. And Joe knows some we're not talking about, I hate to say degens, we're not talking about degens who, can only throw $50 in. We're talking about folks that, they're looking to support because, they want to support, and money is not really an object to them. And so, we're going through the process of helping folks on board. And that's what's really, really cool, because we're also teaching folks the right way about crypto. We're also getting them involved in projects that have a lot of, leadership qualities, good initiatives. They're long-term, they're safe, they're the right projects to get into. These, everybody knows who the CEO of the Jimi Hendrix Foundation is. Everybody knows that, who Jimi Hendrix is, and everybody understands like what the foundation does.
Yes.
Joe's already had the press release that went out. Joe's already had folks reach out to him and say, wow, what are you guys doing? This is amazing. Can we be part of this? And working on big, national partnerships. But I just wanted to put that out there that, this isn't really to, yes, if you're in the crypto space now, I hope you buy a bag of Hey Joe. I hope you join in on the Hey Joe ecosystem. But it's not really about getting people that are in the crypto space to buy Hey Joe. It's about the folks that are passionate about the Jimi Hendrix Foundation and everything that they're doing to buy into the Hey Joe token to support them. And quite frankly, probably close to 100% of those folks are not in crypto, but they're going to be. They are going to be.
And they get some experiences along the way, baby. Let's
Yeah,
go.
I don't know if Joe's going to say what all he's doing. I know a lot of stuff he's doing, and I wouldn't want to miss out. But it's some pretty, it's pretty amazing, in from what I think.
Well, thank you for that. Well, one of the things I want to point out to people, now it's in the crypto world, because everything equates to dollars and cents in one form or other. You have to purchase something. For instance, we want to get instruments to kids who can't otherwise afford them, right? Well, we can buy guitars, Strat style, full size plain guitars that are pretty nice, plain, from offshore. Well, $5,000 buys us 100 guitars with our logo on it. Okay, $50,000, 1,000 guitars we can sell. You can't buy a guitar for $50 or less. Even used ones from a pawn shop cost you $50. Or how many people are going to donate from guitar companies? They're not going to donate hundreds and hundreds. They're there to make money, of course. So our goal is to get musical instruments. Tambourines cost us $1.50. I mean, that's part of what all this is for. And so, yes, you get the satisfaction knowing that you're giving to a foundation that is getting instruments, and we're going to pass them out, and we'll have membership drives, and we'll have other, cool things like the Hollywood Star. We'll have that for membership, which is interesting. It's a 12 by 12 made by our friend who actually makes the plaques for Hollywood Walk of Fame. And so we're not just having things made just because, we're having them made by the real people. Like the picture behind us right now is from Henry Diltz, who was on stage. He was actually literally supposedly the only still photographer allowed on stage, hired by Michael Lang, the promoter of Woodstock. And so he was on stage with Jimmy taking that shot. And he's donated that particular picture to us for auction or fundraising and others. He's working with the foundation, so we do have pictures that we can, monetize, if you want to put it in those terms, but for membership and or help the foundation raise money. We have other projects and other assets now that we can actually get in front of people. But now with the crypto, that's the thing. You can help donate to the foundation knowing that you are helping kids, veterans, and whoever else. And you're helping yourself have fun because you're going to trade behind the scenes like trading cards, right? I mean, I don't know how that works, but I think it's cool. This way everybody wins. It's the proverbial win-win scenario.
Absolutely.
That's my story, and I'm sticking.
So I do have, because I like to do a little bit, deeper stuff, and this is definitely a Jason or Omar question. All right. So for those of us that are in crypto, if we were to buy into the token, how could would that be still considered a donation for tax purposes?
Yeah, Omar and I have actually talked about this, and so there's so much. I wish Omar was here to talk through it, because he knows a lot more about the regulations than I do. As a matter of fact, we've actually discussed quite a few of the regulations stuff, and actually it looks like regulations are kind of easing up, so to speak. Like the forward-looking regulations are kind of easing up on stuff, and so. We are looking at this, so there is a possibility of that. And actually, because regulations are easing up, the other thing that I want to add is that these companies and these brands that that are coming on board into the ecosystem, you have to think like, especially with what Joe was saying about the product, you have Web 2 revenues that can funnel and support the Web 3 initiatives, and that's one of the major differences between like a branded token, this experiential token like this, versus say a meme token. In a meme token world, there's no Web 2 revenue feeding the ecosystem. So I don't want to say that in that scenario, it's a Peter Pay Paul / Ponzi scenario, but the argument can be made that it is a Peter Pay Paul / Ponzi type scenario, because the folks at the top are, you know, they may not make it. However, in this situation, you know, with this experiential ecosystem, you know, there are revenues that constantly, you know, help support the token ecosystem. And
Yes.
so, you know, we have a lot of mechanisms that we've put in place that, you know, are built for, one, the regulatory landscape that we think that it's coming up. And we actually have an SEC attorney on, you know, in our SkyPath ecosystem that we do have communications with, and Omar is consistently and constantly reading the upcoming legislation. And so we kind of see like it loosening up a little bit from that perspective. And then, you know, the other thing that we talk about a lot is wrapping your brand around the token and focusing on the brand and what you can build and what you can provide. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, you don't ever want to, you know, stay away from referencing the prices and, you know, price going up and stuff like that. You don't want to focus on the token price per se. What you want to focus on is getting people excited about the ecosystem and building in such a way that they want to be part of the ecosystem. Look, when people buy the token, the price goes up because that's just how the algorithm works on trading. That, you know, that's the bottom line. And I get it. Like, people want to see the token price go up. We all get excited by number go up. That's what we want. But the focus is building the brand, building around the brand, building, you know, bringing experiences and things to the holders as an initiative and incentive to be part of it. And so, yeah, so part of it might be the fact that because it's a foundation, there is a possibility that there will be, you know, tax write-off ability because of that. You know, I don't want to say 100% for sure it is, because the regulatory clarity is there's very minimal, if any. But there are some positive things moving from a regulatory landscape that is. Now, it's different with Joe and the way that the token is set up internally. So it'll actually work just like any foundation, any other traditional foundation. So the funds that Joe gets from the taxes work just like any other type of donation. And you in actuality could potentially purchase the tokens directly and then donate them directly to the foundation as well. And that, I don't want to say that definitely would, but it's no different than you writing a check directly to them. So those are all things that, you know, we continue to discuss and think about. And yeah, sorry, I know that was long-winded.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, but I can chime in on that because I was reading up this past week as we were launching our coin. So I wanted to see if we can actually accept tokens and have to pay taxes. See, we're a Washington State corporation, nonprofit, doing business as alien business in California. California just passed a law that we are exempt from taxes on accepting crypto. So we will be able to do donation receipts and all that. We have to find that, but it's to your point. I've already looked into that to some degree because we have to know. We don't want to be having a commercial enterprise that's greater than our coming in, because we can only work on a certain percentage of donation, grants, you know, philanthropic dollars as opposed to commercial business. And they don't consider this commercial business. So that's good for us. So in answer to your question, that will be something that we can do. And that's short-lived.
And the Jimi Hendrix Foundation has very well-known lawyers in their ecosystem. Very high-level IP lawyers, but also very well-known. They have some serious lawyerage in their ecosystem.
Well, see, you know, and you know, that's why, you know, Jason, you know, the whole thing with everything you guys built, you know, under SkyPath and stuff, you know, it's is you know, the whole legalities is what's going to get a lot of these other crypto startups, it's going to get them in trouble because they're not conducting business properly. They're not keeping up with the laws and regulations. They're not, they don't have lawyers behind them. You know what I mean? And a lot of us, well, not us, because we're kind of we're getting our education on. We are doing what we're supposed to do and doing our due diligence and trying to keep up with this stuff. But for the people that are not keeping up with this and they're just tossing money at a lot of this garbage, it's when everything becomes a lot clearer, your money's going to be gone because they're not going to be these I don't know, the PP poo poo tokens and stuff are they're not going to be able to continue to operate anymore. So your money's going to be gone. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so that's.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Vince. And I was just reading some stuff today. And Minnesota actually passed the law as well. And so what we've been talking about for the past year and what we think is going to happen is that in order for you to launch a crypto token, a crypto coin, or get into the space, you're going to have to be actually registered as a business entity. So it's not going to be like, hey, I can make these, 50 meme tokens and launch them and rug them and the same person over and over and over. You're going to have to be registered as an actual business entity, and that's going to come sooner than later. And so, so tokens like, the Hey Joe token that is representative of a real brand. It's the Jimi Hendrix Foundation. It is built for longevity. It's also built for success. Yes. And it's also built for, to work for both the holders and the organization. And so that's really, kind of what we're striving to, to do and build and get the message out. And we think that's going to happen. But, and I'm going to just throw something out really quick as well and get it out there. The Trump family just announced that they're going to be wrapping their brand around a token. So why that is important is because a couple things. One, this thing that Omar and I have been talking about for over a year and building this experiential token, it's about wrapping your brand around the token. So you're going to want to be part of the brand. But think about this, like there's 1,000 Trump tokens, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Would you rather buy into the official branded token, or do you want to buy into a token that somebody in the shadows made? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Hey Joe ecosystem, the official Jimi Hendrix Foundation token, where you can, go ride in a golf cart with Carlos Santana and play golf, or do you want to buy something that's not wrapped around a brand?
Yeah. Then having, and like I say, and being able to be a part of, don't. Let me choose my words carefully. So you're it's not the same thing as stocks, of course. So you're not, as an investor, you're not a shareholder, so to speak. Yep. But being an investor in crypto, into a brand, into a company, you are in that community. You are a part of that community, and you get to especially with these experiential. My tongue gets hot. Experiential tokens and brands. As an investor, you get to participate in certain events and stuff like that. So you guys
Joe's building this like a business, and that's the conversation that we have. Just build it like a business. Build it exactly how you would build your brand, and if you do that, people will come into it. People are buying stuff based on nothing, so they're going to come into something like this. And Joe has a big advantage here because he is the CEO of the Jimi Hendrix Foundation. Like, everybody on the planet knows who Jimi Hendrix is, was, represents, etc. And so, like, if Joe, wraps that vision and wraps that brand around what he's looking to build, it's, it'll be successful. It'll feed the flywheel and feed the ecosystem, and people will be excited about it.
Yes.
I can't wait to see some of the stuff that Joe brings out, because I know we've had conversations in the background about what he's planning, and I'm like, okay, yes, that, yes. Like, there's a thousand. I said, people will get excited about that. Yes, people are going to want it. I think if you don't hold Hey Joe, you're missing. you're missing out.
Yeah, missing out on an experience.
Yeah. Well, I want to make it clear though, so people get an idea though. See, I have, well, we don't generate, well, first off, a foundation has no shareholders or stockholders. So no one shares in any of the donations or any of the monetary revenue,
Yeah.
Directly as a shareholder would. Secondly, in our bylaws, because of all the bad things that have happened and befallen the foundation in the past, no one gets a paycheck. I don't get paid from the foundation. So, okay, and I own no Bitcoins or anything. So I'm not relying on insider information and inside revenue. I have nothing to personally gain by any of this. So I just want the listeners to know that everything we do is for the foundation and to help the foundation generate its own funds, plus
Yeah.
donations and everything else that a foundation is supposed to have, grants and other things of that nature. So anyway,
Joe, that's actually
well, it's
such a
my
good
other
point.
story that I'm sticking to.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point, and I actually want to add to it. So one of the things that we talk about when we talk about these tokens is there's no airdrops to any of the teams, no airdrops to the devs. There's no dev tokens, there's no team tokens, there's none of that stuff. Joe doesn't hold any tokens. The revenue is based on the tax, so that tax on trading volume goes to the foundation, and that's the revenue that'll be used for foundation initiatives. But like as far as like the way, and we set it up on purpose because we don't want any of our clients that we've onboarded to face regulatory scrutiny a year from now or 2 years from now, where they say, well, you're how come Joe was airdrop 50% of the token supply? No, everything's completely in circulation. If you want to buy the token, you buy it just like everybody else does off the public, once it's publicly live for trading. And so that keeps you away from regulatory scrutiny, etc. And so, we really have thought through as many of the mechanisms as we could to really keep this safe for both the holders and the client based on the strategy alone and also the long-term success of this. And so this is something that Joe will continue to build in perpetuity. Now he is incentivized by the fact that the foundation gets a percent of the trading volume, and that incentive is going to allow him to do all the things that he wants to do regarding helping folks in in different scenarios and different visions and aspirations that he has to help from a charitable perspective. And the more trading volume that happens, the more funds and more people that he's going to be able to help. And I know you've seen meme tokens in the past that are like, hey, we're donating to this charity and we're donating to that charity, but like you don't really know 100%.
Yeah.
Look, you hope that they are, but in this instance, like there is a business model and a strategy and a path that the Jimi Hendrix Foundation is based upon, and this is exactly 100% what it's for.
Yes.
But the other thing is I'm excited because I can't wait for the people to come out that Joe knows in his ecosystem that start supporting this. That's going to be exciting.
Yes.
And, I just say, hey, just be part of this and do it safely. Like, don't ape into it. Don't ape a bag and get in for, go buy $20 or $30 of Hey Joe, $50.
Yeah.
It's going to a good cause. And you don't have to fall asleep at night worrying about like, hey, I just put my life savings into a token and you have to stress about it. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Be smart about it. And plus it's so early. There's a lot of opportunity.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Joe, are you going to talk about Captain at all a little bit or no? Your call.
Who?
Maybe Joe doesn't want to talk about
the secret, Captain Strata?
Yeah.
Joe, you don't have to talk about
No, we're looking into You're like the guy who takes a friend to a magician. Okay, watch this magician. He's really great. Look at his left hand when he performs this trick.
All right, guys. Look at the hand. Look at the hand.
Don't let the secret.
I know Joe's probably like, all right, be quiet
No,
about
I
that.
can.
Joe just has so many.
We can tease about that. Jimmy Williams and a couple others in the foundation years ago created a character called Captain Strata based on Jimi Hendrix's love for comic book heroes. Because Jimmy used to draw superheroes all the time. And so we are looking into developing something in the ether, the Web3, the crypto, you name it, we're going there with it. Cape and all.
Yes. I.
So that's all I can say about that.
That's what we call a little bit of alpha in the crypto world.
There you go. Alpha. All I know is we want to make it to Comic-Con this year.
Oh man!
Anyway, great.
That'd be amazing. Oh man, Hey, so all right, so never mind. Well, I'll mention something about that later. Because I got an idea. But anyway, oh man.
Joe has a million ideas. Like Joe's got a million ideas, and he has a lot of friends that can help make it happen. And so it's going to be pretty interesting. All I can say is be part of the ecosystem. Let's just say that.
Yes, absolutely. And I talk to I try to talk to companies all the time because kind of scared. There's it's still so new that they're still apprehensive about crypto. No, we can't mess with that yet. We can't mess with that. And it's like, why? There are legal ways and proper ways to navigate the crypto world and incorporate your business and brand. There are ways to do that legally. And they're like, wait, well, maybe later. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. You know what I mean? So it's coming. It's coming. You know what I'm saying? But these conversations, just like this, these conversations are leading more companies into to letting them know, hey, you have legit ways to do this. And I mean, this is especially if you got a small company, if you got a charity, you're not going to go public and get listed on the on the S&P. You know what I'm saying? So this is a different option that will also involve the community around that loves your product or that loves your charitable foundations. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something to look at.
And also, it's looking like rev sharing is not going to be as daunting as we think. Meaning Rev 2, like Web 2 rev sharing into the Web 3 ecosystem is not going to be as bad as we think. So meaning like Omar and I have talked about at length about adding a rev share component to like SkyPath. And when I say talk at length, I don't mean like, we might do it. I'm just, if you like alpha, it's looking like rev sharing is going to be not as big a regulatory challenge as we thought it would be back in 2021. We'll say that.
Okay.
So coming.
That's man. Hey, so look, I ain't gonna go. We're not gonna go into it. But look, if you don't know what rev sharing is, hit up Google. It's very, very quick. I know everybody's got a cell phone. Just go Google it real quick, and you will kind of understand what. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. Business, man. Look, this is so exciting. But look, I know you guys are very busy. I'd kind of just real quick, if you could, just go into. Jason, this would be on you to go into create and how your ecosystem is bringing most of the we kind of went over that already, but just just a short
really high level overview. So we're building Coin Theaters is a DeFi crowdfunding and streaming platform. We feel like the first phase will be rolled out in a couple weeks, so we're excited about that. Essentially, it allows content creators of all sorts to fundraise on our platform through DeFi. We did launch a token Create. It's traded on the base. It's the only token. It's the only way that you're going to be able to contribute to content creators is through the Create token. We already have many individuals that are looking to put content onto the platform, and so that's going to be really interesting. And we have conversations with folks like Joe about putting content on our platform as well.
Yeah.
And so that's going to provide and bring more exposure to anybody in our ecosystem, and we want to support those folks. Vince, you'll be putting content on our platform, and it's great because the strategy and the mechanism, which we can go into detail in another program, provides the opportunity for you to monetize day one. We have, I'll give you an example. Mikey Williams, who we launched his confidential token, CFDL, he has like 4 million Instagram followers. And he says, hey, I'm not even monetized on Instagram, although he gets, an unbelievable amount of likes on all his posts. He's not monetized. Yeah. But on our platform, you will be. Even if you only have one like, you will be monetized. And it's because of the ecosystem that we've built. And it's the same ecosystem that we've actually built for, Joe and Hey Joe, the Hey Joe token, for the Jimi Hendrix Foundation. And there's a few things that we like about this strategy. And I think of it from a VC perspective, because I've gone through, multiple fundraising rounds, and I've had numerous beatings from VCs, etc. This is a scalable solution, a scalable strategy. It's replicable, and it provides, the only thing is yes, is it a proven model? No, not necessarily, because it's new. We're in an emerging market, emerging technology, etc. But it is a very replicable solution. It's a scalable solution, and quite frankly, we think it's going to be the new meta going forward. And yeah, we don't have some of the clout that some of the big AOLs have and all that, but we are doing some things.
They'll come.
That you don't present to the Jimi Hendrix Foundation and get Joe's attention by being a schlub. You got to really come with your A game, because as Joe mentioned, he's had folks for years and years and years come at him with all kinds of ideas. And we and so we presented this idea, and we're doing this for Joe to be able to, it's DeFi. That we actually we built the mechanism, we provide the strategy, we give him some consulting, as much support as we can. But the reality of it is, this is all on Joe, and this is the vision of what Joe and his team and the Jimi Hendrix Foundation wants to do. It's DeFi. It provides him the ability to do what he wants to do. And same with some of these other brands that we're launching, the confidential token and among others. So
yeah, absolutely. And and this is what it's all about. We want mass adoption. It starts here. You have to onboard. We have to onboard companies, period. You know what I mean? We can't continue just to cycle the same money around.
Same money sloshing back and forth.
It's sloshing around.
And so, it's that same 3 to 5%. And so this is the strategy to bring on board non-traditional crypto buyers into the ecosystem. But it worked.
That have revenue outside of the token to inject. You know what I'm saying? It's like I say, a lot of these crypto projects that are out right now are going to fall to the wayside, because, like I say, once things really start to be enforced, the ones that are doing things properly, that are prepared for these enforcements, and even if things become a little bit stricter, the ones that are preparing for this are the ones that are going to survive and continue to be able to operate. And you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that you got to kind of yeah, it's okay to be a DGen, but at the same time, if you're going to do, if you're going to be in crypto long term, which everybody eventually is going to be in crypto long term because it's coming. But you got to kind of understand how it works, how businesses operate within the crypto space, and what businesses are actually going to be around for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
I was
get some education about yourself.
Vince. I actually was just having a conversation with Omar because we've been doing this. I don't think I could get into another meme token, honestly, because
I
now,
haven't.
I'm helping, these brands onboard into the space. And I'm like, what would you rather buy some meme token launched by some unknown with no register and no business? Or would you rather support your ecosystem
Yes.
and, long term and, folks like Joe who have been running businesses and running organizations and building things and have a real vision and a leader and have a network, have this massive network. It's
Yeah.
Those are the folks that will be successful long term and build things out long term. And that's what you're looking for. So this is, to me, I think it's the way it's going to be the next meta. So you hear it. I don't want to say you hear it first. Trying to do.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, like I kind of mentioned earlier, we are in the turning point in this big financial revolution. This is it. We are there. We've all wanted this to come, and we're right on the cusp of this happening. And going just full blown. Because eventually, we say Web 2, we say Web 3. Eventually, it's just going to be Web again, the norm. You know what I'm saying? And those of us that are preparing, getting education early and understanding the technology, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the crazy thing, and Joe, I didn't tell you this, but the state of Louisiana just passed law that they are accepting, the state of Louisiana is accepting Bitcoin, 3 currencies. One of them's Bitcoin, one of them's USDC, and I forget what the other token is. But if you accept Bitcoin, you literally accept every single crypto token on the planet because they're all interchangeable. You could have Hey Joe token.
Boom.
You could swap it for Bitcoin and pay the state of Louisiana what your fees, your fines, whatever it is. So that literally means, like, I don't think people really understand that or get it. If the state of Louisiana accepts Bitcoin, they literally accept every token because they are 100% interchangeable.
Well, not just that,
So
you got to look outside of the US as well. Lots of countries they've already accepted it. They're already adopting it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, a lot of us here, most of us here in the United States, we tend to just focus on what's going on here. But when we're talking about finance, the future of finance, you have to look at the world, and the world is moving a lot quicker than the United States. So
yeah, and I'll tell you, I'll tell you one person the world knows. Maybe I'm just a shiller, but it's Jimi Hendrix, and so the world needs to hold Hey Joe token. The world needs to buy into Hey Joe token. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it. The world buys the Hey Joe token.
I mean, how could you not buy Hey Joe? Come on, you have to have a bag of Hey Joe.
Well, guys, I know you guys are busy and stuff. This was a really great conversation. I really appreciate Joe. I really appreciate you coming on, giving us some background on yourself and the Jimi Hendrix Foundation and what it's all about. Even informing people, hey, it was struggling. Some things happened, but you know what? We resolved them, and we are continuing towards a future of transparency and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what anybody would want. That especially if when I'd say, hey, you know what? I'd like to donate to this. I would like to know that, hey, you know what? It's actually going to be helping. You know what I'm saying? The whatever cause that it may be. You know what I mean? So, and the causes that you are trying to help with. It's continuously, it's needed more than ever, man. Especially with PTSD, autism and stuff, as it's becoming, as it's been revealed that, it's a lot more serious than what people thought it was. It's not just a joke. It's, these are real issues that, that people need help with, and, causes like this, it's or foundations like this that's going to help assist, with various methods, especially with like music, because we can go into, that's a whole nother conversation with, harmonies and resonance and stuff that heals the body and stuff. Like, we can go into that, what I mean, but that's another conversation. But music is definitely a healing component to in my opinion, to any type of therapy. You know what I'm saying? So definitely you guys are doing an amazing job. Really appreciate you and all the work you're putting in to making this a successful foundation. And hopefully, the trust ends up, they come around and the conversation gets had and you guys can work together towards this common goal. You know what I mean? Because like I say, it's all about helping rather than, doing that. So, Jason, really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Giving us the insight, what I'm saying, on the token, and especially, what you guys are doing with Create and Coin Theaters, man. The onboarding that you are doing, man, this is exactly what we need in the crypto space, because until we really start to onboard these companies that are still sitting on the sidelines, man, we're kind of stuck in the same position. So you guys are fighting a good fight. You're doing what you need to do to help not only just the crypto space, but to actually help companies understand that there are legal ways to get into this and be safe, and not only protect your company, your brand, but also protect your investors as well. So hats off and kudos to you guys. Really appreciate everybody that stopped by to listen to this very, very informative piece of content. If you haven't already, please follow, like, subscribe. It helps me out. It helps the, whatever algorithms, the tubes, the spaces, all that stuff. It really helps me out, and it costs you nothing to click that button. And also definitely follow
Foundation.
Yes, and follow. Definitely get to the foundation if you want to donate or whatnot. If you're not into crypto yet, but you still would like to participate, you can go to the foundation, which is Jimi Hendrix Foundation.org, and you can donate through there. There's also options, if you have musical instruments and stuff like that. There's different ways for you to participate. It doesn't have to be exactly money. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, whatever you donate is going to help the cause, to help further the cause as well. You know what I'm saying? For those of us in crypto, quit playing around with shit coins. Excuse my language, but quit playing around with shit coins. Hey, understand that there are real business models within the crypto space that you can invest into. This is not financial advice, but please protect your wallet, protect your hard-earned money, because inflation is through the roof. Taxes are too high. You got to be careful. You got to watch your pennies. I don't care how much money you think you have. You watch your pennies and don't just waste it. Look for something that's, look for some of these projects and businesses that are operating not only properly, but are actual registered businesses that have lawyers behind them and are preparing for the future of finance, and especially within the crypto space. Because I'm telling you what, I don't care if you from devs to content creators, the ban hammer is coming down. The SEC will find you. You're not hiding nowhere. I'm just letting you know. So with that being said, appreciate y'all once again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you, Jason, man. You guys are awesome. And also, if because we did speak on education. If you are wanting to either get into the crypto space or further your education, Dragonryders Media does offer crypto classes. We have a basic course for those wanting to get in, and we have an advanced course for those of us who have already been in it. We know what wallets are. We know all that stuff is, but we want to get into deeper dives of chart reading and stuff like that. So we do offer those courses. Go to dragonridersmedia.com. And yeah, this is awesome stuff. Thank y'all once again. And we will see y'all next time.
If your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen, I feed him every day